Wash your fucking hands.
Hey, how you all going? It's Jai, that Aussie metal guy here with crank.com and with that metalstation.com. Today I'm getting to have a chat with Canadian punk legend Murray, the Cretin, Acton of Dayglo Abortions. He's also in Stinkhorn and he's recently released his debut solo album after a number of years, 27th of April, man. Cheers for joining me.
Well, thanks, man. Thanks for having me. It's nice to get to talk to you guys down there.
Yeah, man.
I get a lot. I mean, it's been years. We've been there for a number of times too. And I guess our friend that we had a really good friend there, and he died at fucking, and that sort of broke our fucking whole thing off. We haven't been back really since he passed. Old Nigel Halloran there. I don't know if you know Nigel.
No.
He brought a lot of bands to Australia there. You got the UK subs over there regularly, and God, geez, who did he get there? He got the Exploited there, even fucking stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, they Exploited a good.
He was out of Sydney. He was a guy from Sydney.
Yeah, we got quite a good punk scene here. I was chatting to my punk editor, Mike the Punk, who does all my punk stuff for the webzine. I'm like, I'm getting to have a chat with Murray, and he's like, dude, that is so cool.
Yeah, some people would agree with that. I guess others might not.
Yeah, I know.
Australia, I liked it. I mean, I thought it was neat. The one thing I noticed about Australia's scene is that it, like here, you had the sort of the punks and the metal crossover shit and stuff like that back in the early 80s there. But it really didn't take too long before they all kind of just melted together and became one sort of scene. Whereas I noticed in Australia, they've managed to all maintain each one of these scenes seems to be all very separate and everything like that. They get their own, bands and all of this sort of stuff going on. It was interesting to see the way things kept defined like that. Everything got blurred out here pretty quickly for the most part. That's why it's hard to say. Like the Dayglos aren't really a punk band, for fuck's sake. I mean, I think more 70s metal band or some shit like that. That's what I grew up with.
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit about this Nervous Breakdown album? You were, I believe, you're on tour with Dayglo Abortions when everything kind of hit, and you kind of had to shut everything down.
Yeah, we were just finishing off a tour of the West Coast here, and they brought in the beginning of those COVID restrictions and stuff like that. First, it was just social distancing and everything, but boy, by the time we got to Vancouver, our last show was in Vancouver, and they shut the bars down. Everything got shut down the next morning, more or less. So, we went from being out on the road where everybody loves you and the drinks are free to going home into isolation. It was kind of a bit of a rude shock there, And I'm looking at it going, fuck, I've been touring around playing punk rock for 40 years now, sort of shit like this. At my age, I'm kind of thinking if this is going to take more than a couple of weeks, I might as well just fucking forget about shit, And then I started looking at it. I actually went and got a job, even for fuck's sake. Once it really, things are setting in, I got, Christ, I'm gonna have something to do with my time. I hadn't worked in 20 years, for fuck's sake. I went and got a job, and then and once my head got around things and started leveling off a little bit, of course, I started writing songs. That's how I process the world around me, is the songs. I started writing all of these silly songs about the lockdown and the COVID restrictions and all of this kind of shit. The lack of, like, we had this big, I don't know if you guys had it, but over here, somebody leaked out somewhere. God, we might run out of toilet paper. They're making some of the toilet paper to make masks for those doctors and stuff like this. So everybody goes, oh my God, we run out of toilet paper.
How fucking stupid was that, though, eh?
They actually created a fucking toilet paper shortage because of everybody freaking out about the fucking toilet paper, and which was funny. So, I put these things all into songs. Tried to get the humor of it all, because, God, you got to laugh at the world, or it'll just get you down. Really, that's what I figure. It's my last line of defense, your sense of humor,
Yeah.
You could be like standing there in front of a firing squad. And if you could come up with a funny enough joke, like right on the spot, maybe they're all like, oh,
okay.
Jason. Oh, that was a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, no doubt. It was pretty fucking stupid. There was some bloody stupid people running around during that COVID, and still now, we've done the same here in Australia. A lot of people run out and buying toilet paper. I don't know why the fuck for. Like, you got a flu. You're not coughing out of your ass or anything, dude.
Oh yeah. No, well, you get all of these different reactions. Some people are refusing to react to it. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as COVID. It's all just a fucking conspiracy theory or some shit like this, eh? And people are dropping, dropping around them. There was a lot of people dying, and you go to the right places. There was no denying that the COVID wasn't real. Now I'm fucking choked because I heard about this right back at the beginning, that it was probably leaked out of an accidental leak out of that fucking Wuhan lab, eh? Yep. Because they used to do that. The woman that ran the lab there got her master's degree at a university down in the fucking States.
Yep.
And they were told that they had to stop doing that gain of function research in the States because it's kind of infringing on our bioweapons treaties that we've signed and shit. Oh, yeah. But, well, you look at the potential uses. You got sort of two things you'd be doing here. Either you're trying to make a bioweapon, or you're trying to get ahead of the vaccine so you can get the vaccines in case you accidentally might have, leaked it out there because, now we're going to make billions of dollars fucking treating this thing. So how much motivation is there for them to not be accidentally leaking it out, and all of this shit? I'm looking at this going, why doesn't somebody just sort of think that, oh my God, I think we've been hoodwinked on this one, It's like the biggest essentially the biggest fraudulent ripoff of the human race ever, period. Like trillions of dollars almost, and I mean, and a lot of people fucking died because of it as well, too.
Yeah.
And it's, the more you see it going on, the more obvious it kind of looks like it's the way it went. Yeah. It's getting harder and harder for them to talk their way out of it, really, considering what they had 3 leaks at that fucking lab in the last couple of years.
Yep. And Australia, Australia was was the first country to ask for an investigation into that. And now Australia and China are fucking copping it.
Well, you guys are at each other's throats now pretty well because of that.
Yeah. China's imposing all these sanctions on Australia, and
you don't really want to be getting into a fucking scuffle with China. I'm not too sure how to take them. They went and tried to invade fucking India there, and they just got the shit kicked out of them by a bunch of fucking old Sikh dudes with some rocks and clubs and shit like that, and they fucking were spanking them. It was like pretty funny, actually. So their military doesn't look like it's really got the fighting spirit in it or anything like that. But their economic shit, they don't fuck around, eh? They got countries by the balls,
Yeah. And we're one of those countries.
Guess who owns all your pension funds and shit like that? Hey, like, you guys should have thought about this one 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a little late to be complaining about it. It's like going, I think my cell phone's infringing on my privacy rights, and some shit like this. Duh.
I know. So what was it like making this album? When did you start recording, like working at home? Did you do it all yourself? Who was playing?
The COVID stuff there, I did that all myself. I just, I did it, I've got one of those Roland set of V drums there and shit like that. So I could do, and I was doing the stuff, I couldn't snag a beat off of fucking some library or whatever. It's all a mix and match of shit, I'm not going to try and pretend that I can play the drums as good as some of the fucking drums on that album by any stretch. But I played a fair bit of it, and I just put them all together out of myself. I've always done that anyway. I'm a big fan of Frank Zappa. When I grew up as a kid, I was really into Zappa. And I like the way he would take a subject and he'd make the music would be catered to the story of the song, kind of thing like that. You shouldn't be all stuck in one genre where you have to play fucking black metal or some shit like this. That could really get you down after a while. But
it does.
I'd really love to do this song about my girlfriend, but it doesn't involve sacrificial murder.
It doesn't involve burning churches.
It's hard to get the, you want to be able to cross the fucking lines and shit like that with your stuff. And that one was, that's only the first. God, I probably got another 2 albums worth of shit that I got out of COVID thing there. I mean, there was some funny stuff going on. I think the toilet paper one was the best, though. That was pretty well. And of course, if you're going to sing a song about poop, you've got to do it with a German accent. You don't really have to even explain that. I had this German friend of mine going, do you always have to make fun of our accent? I'm going, come on. It's not the accent. It's the poop thing. Yeah. Got nothing to do with you. And don't take it personal, but everybody knows if it's poop, the Germans and their poop, eh? But
I know. I got a
You know
German
about
friend.
that.
I used to rib about that as well.
Yeah, they're fucking weird about it. Even their toilets, you know, you look in their toilets where you think, you know, things would be like hyper sanitary, das Germany, you know, all of this. No fucking way. They got a little stage in their toilet there, and they poop down on the stage, and it doesn't go in the water right away. It's got to sit on the stage kind of shit, which
Wow.
is cool, eh? Because there's a reason for the water, eh? It kind of keeps the odors down.
It
But
does.
they like to pick their poop, eh? They can get on the little stage and get out a chopstick or something and go through it, you know, and you're like, really, eh?
Yeah.
Like, isn't it easier to do just right on your chest? Like
Big Shizen.
Drop it on your chest.
It would have
No,
been
that's actually, I could watch that. That's almost getting to be fucking derogatory.
yeah, it would have been funny. It would have been a fun cathartic experience as well making this album, because you know it's hard in the music industry full stop to make a living, but when that COVID hit in and then it kind of cancelled your tours and you were looking at getting back
Everything,
into
yeah.
work, yeah,
Everything got shut down, yeah. And you know, I wasn't even really making it with it. When I made the songs, I had no intention of really releasing them,
yep.
to be honest. It wasn't until after, like, I was talking to my friend, one of the guys that plays for DOA, the guy's playing bass for DOA now, and he goes, and he just released his fucking solo album, and it was pretty good. It was some sort of light Pink Floydy kind of stuff, and I'm listening to it thinking, no, it's a little light, you know, it's a little bit safe sounding, sort of shit like that. So I figured, fuck it, I'll just put together these ones. Aren't so bad. And I thought I'd put them together. And yeah, they worked out. I kind of like them. You know, that's a good example of what my day-to-day thinking in music is and everything like that too. You can sort of see a real cross-section of my sense of humor in there.
Yeah. I can.
I think the best song is that techno song almost, actually. Stop touching your face.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it was. And you've done that cool little cover of the 19th Nervous Breakdown by Rolling Stones as well, but you've done it the COVID-19 Nervous Breakdown, which was cool.
Yeah, well, you know, I love doing that sort of shit, and I've been stealing people's songs for a long time. It's not the first song I'm fucking
yeah
stolen and besmirched, I guess you might say. I like doing that. I just think, you know, a lot of these songs, I sit like that one too. That was one I figured, you know, this would be interesting because I never really checked out the lyrics to 19 Nervous Breakdown. I'm thinking this one might have a little substance in it for a pup. Are you fucking kidding? I'm checking it out going, these are the lamest lyrics I've ever heard in my life. Well, I can fix this here real good. That's one thing I am willing to do, is come in and fix your fucking sappy ass pop lyrics for you. You know, I can put it. We did a cover of fucking, we got this, there was this comp that came out of the States, and it was top songs from the 60s and 70s, top 40 songs and shit. And the guy goes, man, I'd really like to get you guys on the album, but all of the good songs have been taken, he says. Hey, there's really nothing any good left. And there's like only 8 or 10 songs to pick from. And I look at it, and right away, Barry Manilow, I wrote the songs. And I'm like, you're fucking kidding me. Oh my God, that's the one we got to do right here.
That's the one we got to do.
Awesome cover of that one, I tell you. But they wouldn't put my lyrics on. They didn't.
What?
We had to do the original lyrics, which is really stomach turning. Eh? Like some of the most, I can't remember how that one goes too. It's got the most nauseating lyrics in it. Like, I write the songs that make the young girls cry.
I know.
You know? It's like, oh, Jesus, come on.
Yeah, fuck off, Barry.
He has a picture, the best one on the record that it comes off of. There's a picture of him and his beagle, his dog.
Yeah.
And him and the dog, they look exactly the fucking same. And it's just like, he even got the same kind of hair as the dog had. And like, weird.
Well, that's what I liked about you with the Rolling Stones cover. You made it your own. And I like when bands do that and not do a carbon copy of what the fucking band they're doing the cover of, because why bother doing it?
I think it's a way bigger compliment to the band as well, too, that wrote the song originally. They don't want to hear it. Like, they've heard, you know, whatever. Somebody does their cover. Yeah, it's a big thrill when somebody does a cover of your song. But when they fucking can take it and actually rewrite it and make it their own thing and everything like that, that's like taking it the one step beyond that. They're actually getting into your music and everything like that. Yeah, fucking right. Go for it.
Yeah, and they're getting into your music and then listening to it and then making it their own and using their own musical fucking
doing their own take on it and everything like that.
Exactly. And I see
don't get enough of that, eh? With some of these comp albums, you know, these whatever they'll have like a Ramones or tribute album or whatever it is. We did an AC/DC one, actually. Speaking of fucking, we did an AC/DC one. We did what was it? We did She's Got the Jack. That was it. Yeah. And we didn't do a bad job of that. It was quite different, faster, and shit like that.
Yep.
Whereas I noticed all the other bands are all like, doing the AC. I'm like, what the fuck is the point?
Yeah.
Really? What are you guys? It's like, put a little bit into it.
Yeah, and you got to push yourself a little bit too musically. It's just fucking copying something else. It's just not the go, man.
It's silly, and I mean, I can see it for the, the tribute or whatever, that sort of thing. But fucking, take that ball and run with it, for Christ's sake,
Yeah, there's enough fucking millions of cover bands playing other people's music exactly like that anyway. Why not, if you're an original band, put your own fucking spin on it?
Of course, and that's what you'd want. I mean, what do they tell you? Once you've got the torch of enlightenment or whatever the hell you want to call it, from the fucking Zen point of view and shit like that, you want people to not just duplicate everything in your tracks. You want them to take this torch and light the whole fucking town on fire with it.
Yeah.
And shit like that, eh?
Fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. That's the go, man. Can you tell me, I did read there that you had been working on some new stuff with Stinkhorn and Dayglo Abortions.
That's right. Oh yeah, fucking right. Well, Stinkhorn has been coming along. Stinkhorn's kind of a thing that I got into to keep the music fun and shit like that.
Yeah.
Just me and my friends around town here, and we're kind of like doing, I don't know, sort of taking the 70s metal songs, kind of doomy sort of. It's a sort of a doomy 70s metal sort of thing. I'm a big Black Sabbath fan, and so there's a heavy Black Sabbath side to it. And Goof tried to keep out of the politics for the most part with the lyrics, which is difficult for me because I kind of do have my opinions and shit like that, and they do tend to leak out sometimes here and there. But Stinkhorn is kept pretty pure. The Dayglos are doing another album. We're right in the middle of it right now, and we started doing it when the restriction, when we were all in lockdown and everything like that too. Right? So we figured, fuck it, we'll just finish it this way. We just the bass and drums have been doing their part in a little studio out where our drummer Blind Mark lives out of town a bit, and him and the bass player get together and send me the fucking. First of all, I'd send them the demo, my drumbox home studio demo version of the fucking tune. They'd send me back the bass and the drums, and then we got this guy up in Edmonton's going to mix it all down for us, a good friend of ours, and I think me and Sketchy will probably go up to Edmonton and do the guitars. Just finalize the guitars and get the vocals. Most of the vocals I'd want to redo in the nice studio and shit like that. But we've got good pre-production shit going on it now, and she's gonna raise a few eyebrows. I tell you, this one, I'm probably gonna get my ass canceled pretty quickly. I think possibly. You never know.
Nah, you'll be right. It's punk. We've always had an opinion in punk.
I mean, I'm a social justice warrior, dude. I've been ever since I was a fucking kid, and I basically believe in all of the same things they believe in. I'm just like, you gotta be careful who your leaders are and stuff there, kids. Some of this shit, there's you see these things like legitimate movements and stuff like this, like the Black Lives Matter started off as nobody can really say that, oh no, the black people have not been discriminated against. I mean,
same here in Australia. It's the same in Australia. It's fucking, you can't look at the history of America, Australia, and most European countries and go fucking.
Exactly. Same as Canada too. We get the whole Aboriginal thing. Fuck, they just dug 200 some odd kids' graves up in a fucking residential school just the other day.
Yeah.
And the thing is these are all really legitimate issues that some of them are still festering, and some of them there is still obviously signs of systemic racism and everything like this. These problems need to be solved, but now they've fucking been politicized.
Yeah.
And they've been brought into this whole identity politics game of us against them, against everything, and now none of that shit's gonna get solved. It's actually getting worse now,
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
And it's it's too bad, because there was a moment when the sort of alternative voice was becoming so loud and so militant that it almost like when at the beginning of when they started the thing of with the banks in Wall Street there. Remember that? What did they call that first big protest they were having there? Remember the banks there? Occupy, the Occupy movement. When that started up, shit was to the point where people were actually taking notice of this now. It was affecting society. But look at what's happened. There's some brilliant fucking control work through the media and through the way things have gone. And they have just put a spin. They've inverted the entire thing now, eh? And yeah, so that's essentially like the new Dayglo's album is going to be called Hate Speech.
Yep.
And essentially that's what I'm going right to the right for that shit right there. This kind of, what would you call it, neoliberal, neoconservative fucking corporate shill world, which is trying to make it seem like they're doing everything for the benefit of the people, but they're not. No. It's all for the fucking profit of the corporations and everything like this. Eh? And this whole globalist thing, it's not about you guys getting to go to Mexico and shit like that. It's about the fucking corporations getting to go to Mexico and take everything they want. I
know.
Nobody.
That's why the poor people like us are always paying more taxes, and the low income people are always paying more taxes. Big corporations get away with fuck all.
Yeah, no, I know. And it was that like Bezos, his little rocket ship company just had to go down. Now they're going to bail them out.
Yeah.
Can you fucking believe that?
Yeah, I seen in Australia we had Harvey Norman. It's like the biggest fucking electrical fucking store. He's a big, owns chains all over the place.
No, I remember that was like the Radio Shack of fucking.
Yeah. And the government's pretty well fucking giving him like a couple of $1 million over this through thing just to get him through. But the cunt's loaded. He's a billionaire and he doesn't need any help at all. But then other people like the lower income people.
That's funny because they just had this study just got released in Vancouver, which I don't know if you know about what the downtown east side in Vancouver's like, but that's actually Hastings Street is where the word Skid Road came from, from the old Hastings sawmill. And the loggers would walk out on the Skid Road in the daytime, and the hookers started working the loggers. Well, it has never looked back. Now Hastings Street in Vancouver is just a nightmare down there. It is. You get on Google search. I was showing these guys this club we play at, the Rickshaw, on Google Earth there. They go, here, check it out. And they show and you can see right in front, there's people shooting up dope right in the Google Earth thing. And you're just like, get the fuck out of here. You know, they blurred their eyes out so you can't actually see their face or anything. But there's people obviously banging drugs right in Google Earth and sitting in front of this fucking nightclub. They're just going, yeah, okay. So they've just released a study there. It was about just before the COVID thing kicked in. They took 50 random homeless people, well, actually a group of 100. They gave 50 of them $7,500 each, cash, right on the spot, and said, you can do whatever you want to do with this money, but we're going to watch it for the next 6 months or so. We're going to just monitor you. We're going to keep checking in on you, see how things are going. But you can spend this money on anything you want. Go have fun. Here's $7,500 to homeless people. Okay? And then the other group, of course, didn't get the $7,500, so they weren't quite so happy. But they offered the same, services, support services and shit to both of these groups. And then they went back and checked them all. And as it turns out, at the end of the 6 months, all of the people that they gave the $7,500 to, none of them were homeless anymore. They all had places. And they were spending what they figured about 39% less of their money on drugs now.
Yep.
And they're getting all of these support services. And the fucking funniest thing that they noticed about this all, Lo, was in that 6 month period, it saved $8,400 per person in the cost of maintaining their fucking homeless societies for them and everything like this around Vancouver. So they actually were saving money, almost like 20-30% on the fucking dollar.
Yeah.
They were saving on this fucking thing, as it turns out. Okay? So this whole sort of conservative fucking, fiscally conservative fucking approach to politics actually ends up costing you way more money long run, because the cops and all of the shit that you got to do to enforce the crap from the people misbehaving because of the poverty that you put into. Essentially, all of the shit that goes down revolves around poverty. And they could fucking, not that I'm saying that a welfare state is the way to go either. There's got to be some kind of, we got to be able to look at these various systems and go, look, we'll take a little bit from this and a little bit from that. We don't have to commit ourselves to globalist, capitalist fucking thing, or the total flat out Marxism, or any of these. Well, that's the thing. It's this identity politics thing that's happening. Right? It's polarized everything to the point where, there is no halfway about anything anymore, as it seems like this, and you can't accept any of the good sides of some of these. I think America is a beautiful example of what happens when you stop spending on your infrastructure.
Yeah, isn't it?
And look at the shit that they've got. And
I know. I've had some good conversations with people from America, and I've got some good friends in America, great people. I've interviewed some
yeah, me too.
great people that have the same opinion as well. They know more people from out of the world, and they're like, we understand the American system isn't fucking working. You know, the healthcare, everything. It's the way they run things isn't working. But they have this idea that they're the best country in the world, and it's kind of an arrogance to it. You know, God bless their soul, but
I know
they have this.
The thing where the rest of the world, they don't really realize what a bunch of hams they look like in the rest of the world's eyes.
Yeah.
You know, we're going, yeah, okay, tell us more about this fucking,
yeah,
people are dropping like flies over there too through the COVID thing. They really, and the way they try and hide it, even now, even in the Florida one too, now it's all come out, the fucking Florida is.
Yeah, and they polarize, and they all like think they put so much into their politicians. I always put it like, why do they get so involved in politics and politicians? Because they're all trying to fuck us. It's just different degrees of fucking us, the politicians. And over here in Australia, we don't get.
I don't get that whole mentality. You guys must have missed that one about, you know, that when the government shows up, things are generally not going to be getting better. You know? It's like the last thing you want is democracy to come knocking on your fucking door, for Christ's sake. Yikes!
Yeah, and there was this mass polarization.
Once the kids were getting missiled on the way to school, it
would have made for some good material as well, right? And there's a new Dayglo album as well.
Well, yeah, no kidding. I mean, look at it, like the Dayglos album pile up after a while. Sometimes, you know, you just got to like toss a few of them away here and there, because like living next to America after going through that whole fucking thing, 4 years of Trump and shit.
Yeah.
It was just, and then after, like, that's the one thing, this, like the new album, all of the shit was pretty well written during the Trump 4 years. But I've gone really to every length possible to never mention the guy's name or anything. Like, you're not going to hear much of Trump shit coming out of me, that's for sure. Or whatever, you know. It's just as bad what they're doing now. They've taken any sort of valid dissent, you know, now as being, oh, well, you're obviously a pro-Trump supporter.
Yeah.
And they weaponized all of that shit now, you know. I mean, this identity politics shit, it's, you know, they've sort of, it's gone hand in hand with a sort of a kind of a corruption of the education system in a lot of ways too, you know. They've been not exactly what you would call rewarding critical thinking and self-awareness or anything like that. Has not been really the kind of thing that they're supporting in the school system right from the way up. And now you got a whole bunch of fucking people that are capable, they can't even look at themselves. They're not, you know, they've got no sense of self-worth or anything like this. They're not really aware of what they're doing at any time, because they're just like beaking out whatever they're, you know, the programming from the fucking cultural programming that they're all fucking, oh, that is so creepy, dude. I have to look at those fucking things here. He's got these like weird, big-eyed looking tall things staring at me. It's tripping me out, you know. There's something about this. I don't know.
Awesome, Murray. This has been an absolute pleasure, man. I might let you go, dude.
Cheers.
Yeah, man.
Well, we're just all sitting around having one.
Yeah, I'm hoping like when this is all over, 2022, I'm thinking, I don't know, how's it going over there with vaccinations? What are you all like doing that kind of thing? How do you feel about that all?
Yeah, I got my first one. I mean, I'm not really, I wish I didn't have to do it, but if I want to travel,
I know.
That's the only reason I'm doing it, is so I can travel.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Do I think it's going to help me? No, it's not even a fucking vaccine, for Christ's sake. It's, you know, I'd be using ivermectin. I've got a bunch of horse ivermectin sitting at home in case I get anywhere near catching COVID. I'm fucking all over the horse shit right there, you know. An antiviral drug. They should have used that's how they're actually getting it under control in India now.
Yep.
It's because initially in India, you notice they didn't even have a real outbreak in the first wave.
Yeah.
Okay? That was because they were given, everybody had this ivermectin, this fucking antiviral drug to keep the flies out of their eyes and stuff like this. But that kept their first wave down. Then they stopped handing out the ivermectin and switched to the vaccines, and whammo, look at what fucking happened in India there, right?
Yeah.
And now they've gone back to handing out the fucking, now they're handing out these antiviral kits to everybody And phew, they're getting like in a couple of provinces where they've been handing them out. Now they're starting to get it back under control again. And the thing is the vaccine, quote, quote, vaccine is not going to make COVID go away. In fact, it's probably just going to make it mutate more and hang around and shit like this. Whereas the antiviral ones, the antiviral approach to it, you can't carry the shit if you've got the antiviral drug in you. And what happens is like, this is, don't forget, probably engineered to jump into humans anyway. So it was not, this is something that they forced to happen. And the antiviral drug will knock that motherfucker out right away. Nobody can carry it. And it doesn't have a foothold on the planet enough to reestablish itself anyway. So they could have, and that's what's really annoying, is if there was any moral fucking decency at all in any of these people, they would have ended it right in its tracks with the antiviral. Yeah. And it would have never been an issue. They could have done it right at the source, but nope.
Yeah, and no surprise, Big Pharma's the winner.
Rich. That's not, fucking, they're just like, I
know. They would have been sitting back at the start of this going, oh yeah, here we go. We can make some money now.
You know it. Yeah, the biggest money in town. And you can tell, you don't even have to just look at those investments. You can look at the way they played the stock markets and shit like that, and the way the tides went throughout the COVID thing, the way they suddenly have investment in companies with all the hand sanitizers and all of this sort of shit, eh? And you could see these waves of things going, of people that seem to be ahead of the storm somehow. They're predicting all of this shit very accurately, aren't they?
Yeah.
Duh. Yeah. Well done. I mean, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with their level of social engineering that they pull off,
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's funny how they rip that out so quick, and yet they've got all these other diseases that they just can't fucking do anything for because there's no money in the cure for that.
Just wait, that was nothing. That was nothing, man. They got some nasty shit.
Yeah.
Although they've been working those ones for a while because they've been around since there's been a couple of nasty flus have come out of the avian strains there and shit like that. So whatever, these guys, they get good big money in that. It ain't all just to make fucking bombs. It's all, they do actually spend some of the money to milk money out of everybody as well too. Eh? It's impressive bunch of sociopathic, narcissistic psychopaths that we put in charge of our world. Eh? Who made this system anyway?
I know, you can't go to a doctor without wanting to give you a pill.
Psychopath guys made this system. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you can't go to a doctor's without them giving you a pill for something, and go to the chemist and fill this and do that. Oh, you fucking depressed? Go take this, and it doesn't help you.
It's like everyone's got to get their cut along the line, eh?
Yeah.
So finally, you get to use. So is there anything left of you?
Yeah, and that's why I kind of am glad that I see marijuana legalizing in a lot of countries, because out of all the fucking things, mate, it'd be better off sitting there smoking a bit of weed to deal with your anxiety.
The problem is that. Unfortunately, now it's been all fucking. That's all become part of the system now.
I know. Now the big pharma's holding that too.
Now you've got to now it's tough to find good weed. You got to fucking know people that are growing it, and shit like that.
Yeah.
Keep away from this fucking chemical weed. Well, I'm not trying to. Okay, easy. Some hypersensitive people sitting over here in the cheap seats. Yeah, we know there's some pretty good weed around, right?
Yeah, there is here in Australia as well.
This guy always. Oh, Jew, I've never heard of this band before either.
Yeah, show us.
This is possibly the most politically incorrect thing you could ever imagine in your entire life. These guys probably should put to death.
Oh, limp dicks.
But that's some nice, good old wholesome, Victoria stuff for you there. I just help these guys.
It's the old limp dicks.
They're called the old limp dicks, eh? Yeah. Which is, that's something that Australians know well about there, Get 20 miles from the fucking coast in Australia and shit all starts to come around on one side of your head.
Yeah, well, I'm about 300 Ks from the coast, so.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, maybe there's a little further. I know.
We just put out a new album called Touchy Subjects. Murray helped us produce it a little bit.
Yeah, awesome. That's really, really cool. Yeah, tell us about that,
mate. We do that too on the side too, like
I actually did see that. Yeah, tell us about that, man.
Well, I got the stuff that I've done at home there. I've been in and out of studios so many times, and they're not the fucking most comfortable place to play, really, So I got more into having just like some portable gear where I can go over and record stuff. Go to your friend's jam spot, record them out of their jam spot and shit in a place where they're much more relaxed and things like that. And now you've got world-class software. I mean, you get all the same stuff there and everything like that. Well, I got the SSL native code from an SSL $10 million fucking mixing console just sitting right here in on my laptop, so why not use it all?
Yeah.
And, and how about the bands and shit like that? There's all of these young bands like these guys that would never, ever in a million years ever get to play in front of people if it wasn't for some nice guy like me giving it a chance. I just.
And how's the live scene going? I do got to ask, how's your live industry going? Have you started shows yet, or are you still kind of locked down?
So good.
Yeah.
They're starting up again. It looks like maybe at the end of the summer, they're going to have now they can have restaurants are allowed to have people eating indoors. That's as far as they've gotten now, really pretty well. They're still like in Manitoba, they've still got serious problems in Manitoba. Their medical system is just on the verge of collapse. They've got well over 1,000 patients a day coming in and shit like this, eh?
Wow.
And that's a problem for a fucking, because Canada's kind of like Australia. We're not like overpopulated the way it is in the States and shit like that. Our systems get overwhelmed very quickly by stuff like this. And it's been a burden for on a lot of the smaller communities and shit like that. Manitoba's, they're just prairie. That's out in the prairies there, eh? So they're fairly fucked. And a lot of native reserves, like there's Six Nations and shit out there. They've been getting spotty fucking, things out of the government and all kinds of shit, We'll let you have our secondhand vaccines over here. We'll pass this stuff down to the secondhand used. You guys don't mind doing used vaccines, do you? They're down on the old res there, of course, Yeah,
because over here in Australia, we had the Indigenous population. They were one of the first people to be up for the vaccination because everything else as well. So it was the Indigenous and the elderly.
Okay, it was, eh? Oh, yeah. Well, here, I mean, you see the thing in Canada, there's a lot of, because there's the inner city natives that are where their land was essentially, as a city has moved in onto what used to be their residential land and shit like that.
Yeah.
They're more in direct access with the resources and stuff like that than the ones that get it, because you can get really rural around here too.
Yeah.
You can get thousands and thousands of miles out fucking rural. And those people aren't getting a lot of fucking, they're at the tail end of the line and stuff when it gets down to any kind of government handouts. And especially when a crisis happens, the government's dealing with the people that are crying the hardest, the closest at the beginning of the line and shit like that. Really, in damage control never works out well for anybody down the line, when they have not prepared for these things, I guess. But, interesting. I've seen the response because we get a fair bit of Australian shit. The one thing I've noticed about Australia is what's with the Trump supporting in Australia, eh?
Yeah.
Is that real or not?
No, that's not real. No.
Because you guys are being portrayed as the most fucking Trump.
No, dude. Dude. There was a lot of people like.
It's honest at all, because none of the Aussies I know are like this.
Dude, we don't give a we know politicians are cracked fucking crooked cunts.
Yeah. You guys got a better sense of humor than a lot of people have with that shit,
Yeah, dude. And like I always say, politicians are all trying to fuck you. It's just how hard they're going to fuck you.
Yeah, it just depends on where they're gonna first or
I know pretty well. That's why a lot of Aussies are quite don't get wrapped up in that whole political cycle like the Americans do, because we know they're both fucking whichever party's going to lead us. They don't really give two fucks about us.
No, they don't.
No,
they never have. Why would they?
Yeah.
Can you name me a government on earth that has ever been there for its people?
No.
Ever?
No.
I mean,
No.
Think about it. Maybe for a second there, but it didn't last long. I mean.
Yeah, I know.
That's the thing about government, and people seem to forget that, eh?
Yeah, and I'm sure it was the same in Canada. The government didn't give two shits about the arts. I don't know what they did to support the arts sector, but over here in Australia, they done nothing for the arts sector, nothing for the musicians, nothing for the sound engineers, nothing for the lighting, nothing for the people that lost their jobs. It was pretty well, fucking see ya.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, the whole thing just shut down, and more or less it was like, yeah, cry us a river too, eh? Because to be perfectly honest, you guys were a bit of a pain in the ass to start with, anyway. Yeah,
but
that's where.
But everyone
the
would have
world of underground money and all of the shit that goes through that.
Yeah, but
You know,
you think of the arts, like, you know, as you're saying, you were making music and that was keeping you busy, and people like myself was digesting bands I hadn't heard from, buying records, buying like a record player, heaps of vinyl to try and support the scene and the industry. And it was the one thing that kind of got me through that shitty fucking lockdown, and everything else that we went through was music and arts.
I was overwhelmed with the generosity of people. Actually, you know, it took me away there.
Yeah, give
But
people more time to check it out. Bands as
and
well.
you see how fast they fucking all of the industry people gobbled all that shit up though too, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. And then
Yeah, they moved
you see
in
all
on
these shitty Spotify fucking streaming services.
Oh yeah,
Jeez,
yeah.
like,
Well, all of that, you know, I take those things, you know, sort of one way or another. It's they're ripping off all of the musicians, they're robbing everybody blind and everything like that. But they also spread the shit around
but
too.
spread the shit out. Yeah.
Like I've always said, you know, right from the beginning there with the internet stuff and bootlegs of the music going around. As far as I'm concerned, yeah, pass it around, give it away to everybody for free. That's right. I mean, you can go get all of my shit off my Bandcamp page for free, eh? Just come down and see us live and buy the shit off us on stage, because that's the only money that the band's ever gonna get anyway.
I know most of the bands are like that as well.
Actually in control of, you know, the record company. Fuck the record company. They're just, oh yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, well, we hope you got enough some money. Fuck Guido, my whatever here, you know. And so, you know, you're not gonna get that shit out of anywhere. You've got to have just what you can sell off at the edge of the stage.
At the shows.
Well.
Yeah, and it creates this
it's an honorable possession, an honorable fucking beautiful job. You get to travel the world. If you walk into a bar, everybody's happy that you walk into a fucking place where everybody's like, so look at he's here. They're all happy now.
They're even doing
so
sound check.
Home,
they're like, yeah.
Yeah, not so much back home, eh? It's like,
yeah,
like, oh, you're already well, you know.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, we get to travel. The positive sides of being a musician and traveling and shit and seeing the world, going into, especially when you've been in a town 20, 30 times or something like this. And it's you know everybody in the bar. They're all your friends. You're just coming back. It's a family reunion.
Yeah.
You know, you go to the local watering hole. You drink with the locals. You drink like because you're one of the locals now, more or less. Eh?
Yeah.
And to see the world from that point of view, always through the eyes of the locals and shit like that. That's something that most people can't do. You know.
Yeah.
And
then they create this experience.
It's incredible, and you get to find out how real people really are for the most part. You know. You know, if you've got any kind of built up prejudices about people, well, they're going to get wiped away right there, because every kind of preconception you've got about human beings is wrong. You know, we're all more or less the same fucking thing. We all want the same things, just the right to the pursuit of our happiness. And, you know, maybe don't be bitching at me so much while I'm pursuing it, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, really people look out for their own, you know?
Yeah. And that's the good thing about the live industry, and why bands have kind of missed it, and why I kept plugging a lot for people to go buy merch during that time and support as well, because I know the streaming cycles are good, but I'm always like, if I like a band, yeah, I've listened to bands on Spotify, but if I like them, I'll go over and buy a fucking shirt, buy some CDs. And then you mentioned playing live. You have that experience. You walk in, everyone's there to see some punk or some metal. They're all fucking happy to have you up on stage. And then when you go down to the merch stand, you're sitting behind the merch stand, making these connections with your fans as well, saying g'day, having a beer with them, and fucking slinging some merch.
They're human people with the same fucking dilemmas and the same things going on. And it's like, you know, we're not trying to, you know, the concept of the old 70s rock star on the pedestal kind of shit like that is like a disservice to society, really, in a lot of ways, because the link that music can do, and the way it can find people and help them to process the pain of their everyday lives and shit like that is it's probably one of the most powerful things there is. I mean, it goes through human beings. You can tell everything, how you dress, who you hang out with, who you vote for, everything is all dictated to you more or less by your music, you know? And there's a very good guy, I can't remember his name ever. He's a neuropsychologist he wrote a book called This Is Your Brain on Music. And essentially his thesis is that the human mind has evolved as a music making machine.
Yep.
And this is what we're supposed to be doing, is not other people's taxes and shit like that. What we're supposed to be doing is singing and dancing like all of the other animals on the planet do. They all have their own thing that they contribute into this great big huge pattern, which is the system that we're part of. That's why you hear these, you know, the Mayan mystics or whatever and stuff like this going on about how we're disconnected from the universe and we've lost contact. That's what it is. We stopped singing and dancing. That's what we're supposed to be fucking doing, for fuck's sake, you know? And that's why our minds are so developed the way they develop. The only thing that really utilizes the mind in its fullest is the creation of music.
Yeah.
And it takes you through everything. It's, you know, I consider it a blessing that I've got to discover this as deeply as I have for my life, you know, and whatever. The stuff I write is nonsensical bullshit. It's all just a joke and everything anyway. And it's just, you know, whatever, my stupid sense of humor. But at the same time, I got to see and interpret the world for what it is. And I consider myself to be fucking blessed because of this. I am one of the luckiest people who ever walked this planet, you know, that I can walk with my friends and my family and shit like that. My kids can travel around. They go, "Your old man was in the Dayglos. He owes me for $50 or whatever," you know. But, it's a good world if you look at it from the right side.
place.
You know? You're going to let go of the material side of things and look at it for really what it's all about.
Exactly. I think that's a perfect place to leave it, Murray. Do you have any last words, shout outs, or thank you?
High point like that? Okay, sure. I'll do that instead of humiliating myself like
No, I think that's perfect, man. That's spot on.
Okay,
bro.
cool. No, I'm down, man.
Yeah.
Nice talking to you.
It's been an absolute pleasure, man. Did you have any last words or anything you want to chuck in, my friend?
Fuck, I'd like to come back down there, you know? I really would. I got lots of friends in Australia, and if it all works out, once we are allowed to do what we're allowed to do again, I'll be heading that way.
I hope so, Murray. There would be a lot of punk fans. Maybe get you. You could do the Murray set, do Dayglo, and fucking get it all out.
Yeah, whatever. See, it depends how fucking old I am.
No, I look forward to it, Murray. Hopefully catch you over here once all this shitstorm's over, mate.
Yeah, for sure. Cheers.
Cheers, bro.